Hey, I'm back, guys, to talk about Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Remember, I'm new to this. This is only the third show that I've watched. I've watched BKFC 74 and 75, and now the Mohegan Sun show. So I'm not new to YouTube, but I'm still figuring out how the shows. What are the prelims? What are early fights? What are the main card? And I think I might have messed up because what I did when I watched the show, I did my YouTube video that we're going to keep up, of course, and we're going to post this one. We're going to call it the early fights. I don't know what else to do because they deserve coverage. Apparently, only the first 3 fights were prelim fights. But I saw like 5 fights for free before I had to log into the app. So I thought, oh, they must all be the prelims. But apparently not. Anyhow, prelims, early fights, whatever you want to call them, they were part of the show and they were as good as the rest of the show. So we're making a second video to make sure we talk about these as well. And the show kicked off with Joe Peters versus Drew Nolan. This was another early knockout takedown fight as Joe Peters took down Drew Nolan in the first round. Now, there was some discussion going on with commentary that maybe Drew Nolan lost that fight because his shoes were pretty crappy looking. They got some shots of them. They looked like they were falling apart. He definitely needs some new shoes. But they also pointed out that's your responsibility as a fighter. For your equipment, for your cup if you're a man, for your shoes, for your trunks, for your mouthpiece. That is all the fighter's responsibility. And you can't blame your equipment on your loss. You can't blame your loss on your equipment, I should say. And he never did that. I never heard, I'm not saying that he came out, Drew Nolan, I didn't hear that he came out and said that, oh, I wouldn't have lost or it wasn't fair because my shoes were bad. I'm not saying he said that. Commentary just threw it out there as a possibility, but still a big win for Joe Peters. And I hope to see him back. I liked his look. His equipment looked nice. No offense to Nolan. But Drew Peters looked tight here, looked tough here, got the big win by TKO in the first round, kicking this show off, the very first fight, in a very positive, fun way, for sure. Then we had Isaiah Carson taking on Jared Lennon, and it was over in 15 seconds. Holy hell. Isaiah Carson knocked Jared Lennon down and out within the first 15 seconds. The bell rang. They were up against the ropes. And before you knew it, Jared Lennon's on the ground and the ref is calling it because Jared Lennon stood up. He stood up within the 8 count. Then he sort of stumbled a little bit. When you stand up inside the 8 count, if you can't walk forward to the ref, to the left and to the right with your hands raised to defend yourself, the fight's over. Doesn't matter if you jump right up. If you jump right up and then stagger, it's done. They're not going to let you get hurt. They're not going to let you get hospitalized. If they can help it, meaning the officials, the referee, the doctors, the owners and operators of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship are going to make sure fighters are protected. When you're knocked loopy and you can't display that you are 100% alert, fight's over. And this one, Isaiah Carson gets a big win in 15 seconds. Unreal. Then we had Slippery Pete Barrett taking on Nash Diedrichs. I believe I'm saying that right. This went 1 minute and 30 seconds. Slippery Pete was slippery as hell, gave the slip to Nash. Nash was knocked down twice, and both times he's sitting against the ropes with his hands running through his hair, looking completely bewildered. He wasn't knocked out, but he, again, knocked loopy. He really seemed shocked. He really seemed surprised that Slippery Pete's fists hurt him that bad, but they did. Now, Nash had some strikes. He had some offense in there. I'm not saying he came in there and just got walloped. 1 minute and 30 seconds is longer than you think. I mean, I work in safety in my shoot job and my real job, and I know there's eye washes, like say you get some chemicals in your eye. The standard is, in that situation, you rinse your eye for 15 minutes at an eye wash station. Let me tell you how hard it is to rinse your eyes for 15 minutes. Now, why am I saying this? Because, folks, 1 minute and 30 seconds is not 15 minutes, but 1 minute and 30 seconds is longer than you think. If you're standing in there getting punched and punching someone for 90 seconds, it doesn't sound long, but just stand up and try to throw your arms around for 90 seconds. You're going to get a little tired. I say that just to say that while Dietrichs went down and looked completely lost at times, sitting against the ropes, He got some offense in, and it's still something to get inside a bare knuckle ring with a bare knuckle fighter and even last that long. So, hey, that's how these fights are. You get hit with somebody's bare fists and hard enough, and you're going down. Big win, Slippery Pete against Nash Diedrichs. Then we had Randy the Zohan Costa taking on Nick Burgos, and this was another short fight. And Randy the Zohan Costa is money, in my opinion. Now, again, no offense to Nick Burgos, who came in. He sort of looks like a wild animal. He's got the crazy hair and the beard, and he came in there with fisticuffs and got some shots in and looked tight, looked like he's a good fighter. But Zohan just got the best of him. And to Zohan's credit, in the post-fight interview, he said, hey, it could have easily been Burgos getting me, but I got him, and I won, and I'm happy about that. And that's the truth. Anytime you get in there without anything protecting your fists, anyone at any time, and that's why I love this, can be knocked the hell out, flat on their ass, night time. It just can happen. And I've seen guys get pummeled, boom, 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 like 2-3 rounds sometimes, 4 rounds. In the 5th round, the guy getting pummeled, he's managed to survive, and he gets a nice uppercut or something, and he wins. The guy who was clearly losing the fight and having his ass kicked wins the fight. I've seen it in only the 3 shows I've watched. And this is an incredible sport. Zohan, like I said, he has money. He was a great interview afterwards. He's got a good look to him. He's got some charisma. Whenever I worked in the pro wrestling industry, and this is not pro wrestling, this is real, damn it. But when I worked in that industry, people would talk about somebody having the it factor. And I think the Zohan, Randy Costa, has the it factor. I really do. I look for him to climb the ranks, and unless he gets knocked out a bunch of times, which anything is possible, in bare knuckle, anything, but I think he's a star, for sure. And then we had Cito Navarro versus Quinton Foy. Now, guys, for some strange reason, I missed this match. I was watching the matches, the fights in my living room, and decided to come down to my basement where I have a nice setup, dual screens. I can be online and watch the fight at the same time, talking about it, taking screenshots for these videos. But somehow, it didn't take me that long. I felt like it took me a minute and a half or so to go from upstairs to downstairs. I grabbed a drink, came down. I had to log in because for some reason, BKFC's website will not keep me logged in. Once I log in, yes, but once I leave and close the site, it doesn't keep me logged in. It's weird. I don't like it. But so by the time I logged in, I don't know how I missed an entire fight. I did watch this then. I have gone back and watched it. But somehow I missed Cito Navarro versus Quinton Foy. Now, I will say this was nowhere near as exciting as all the other fights. As a former pro wrestling guy, I'm going to call these matches. They are matchups, but I'm so used to saying matches. I'll get used to saying fights. This was not a bad fight. It was very technical. What Foy was doing, in my opinion, was biding his time. He was measuring him, and he got some shots, don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you, Navarro got way more, like more than double the amount of shots in than Foy did. And that's how he came to win this match by scoring, by points. He was declared the winner by the judges, a clear winner, a unanimous winner. And he's new to BKFC. I don't think he's had a whole lot of fights. I don't remember how many. This might have been his first one. I'm not sure. Forgive me. I got to get more stats in front of me. But Foy, I felt like Foy could have won this, but it felt like he was biding his time for a big punch that never came. Like Foy was sort of measuring, some shots here, some shots there. But Navarro was so active, super active, that Foy couldn't get that big blow in. So that was a good technical boxing match by Navarro. His game, his strategy won out here and cost Foy as he goes down by decision at the end of 5 rounds. Finally, I believe this is the last match, and we're caught up to the main show. Again, to me, from now on, I'm just covering every match on these videos. They may be longer videos, or maybe I'll break them in 2. What do those of you watching want? Should I make 2 shorter videos or 1 bigger video covering every single fight? I don't know. But Sergio Lopez took on Rick Hahn in a very good fight in the final fight that I'm discussing here. And let me tell you, everyone, or most everyone, had Rick Hahn winning this. He's from Bellator. He's won a lot of fights in Bellator. He's looked like $1 million. Commentary talked about that, put him over quite a bit. But it wasn't to be. Sergio Lopez knocked him out in the third round. Now, he didn't really knock him out cold, TKO, I guess, but he bloodied him. He hit him so hard with a strike on his head that it looked like an oil geyser. It was gushing, literally. I'm not exaggerating. Blood was pumping with his heartbeat out of his head and trickling down his face, and it took his corner a while to stop it. But the referee stopped it, the fight, because there's no way he could continue bloodied and continuing to bleed the way he was. Sergio Lopez is older. Something tells me he might be 50 or in his 50s. Forgive me, Sergio, if I'm wrong, but I know he's an older fighter. He's up there, but he looked damn good here. This shows me that there's no reason this man can't continue to fight. I love that he does the 1950s bare knuckle fighting stance. He goes out there and actually, his stance is very much, the backward fists, like the old school style. And hey, you can't fault him for it, because this was an upset. Rick Hahn going down to Sergio Lopez is absolutely, possibly the upset of the night, and a very good 3-round fight to end the early fights, as we'll call them. And that's where my other video that's already posted picks up from here. But again, this was part of a terrific show, as in my experience so far, which is limited, guaranteed limited, but it's going to increase, I promise you. BKFC shows are absolutely must see. And if you're not watching these, I can't understand why. Maybe they're too violent, too fast. You want to see long, drawn out tactical fights. I said matches again. I don't know. But anyhow, thanks for joining me again. I can't call this part 2, even though it's my second video. We're calling it the early fights of Mohegan Sun. And I'll be back with more coverage. I want to preview the next show, BKFC 76. For sure, even though there was an unfortunate change in the main event, still looks like a great card. And I'll be back with that coverage before you know it.